Yeah, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Foundry VTT from the ground up. And in our last episode, we were working on. Actually, I should have probably logged in. We were working on. What did we do? We created a character or an NPC, a mob. Um, and we talked a little bit about other tools, and we're going to do the same thing in this episode, just to show you or spotlight another cool tool that can be used to kind of make life a little easier with the virtual tabletop world. So one thing, it looks like there was an update. We're now to 1.2.0. The previous version was 1.1.1. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot that is things that I've been asking for, and those are usually what I'll spotlight when they have an update, like when they finally created something for races, even though it's not quite exactly what I think it would be. But let's go ahead and make sure Parnast Under Siege, Launch World. So one of the tools I want to talk about today, we're going to work on maps and setting up the map. And there's two things that are going to make this a little easier for us. We're going to go ahead and choose Game Master, boom, and that, hopefully. All right, we can unpause the game because it's basically always paused. So anyway, what I wanted to work on today is actual maps. So these would be our scenes here. And we're going to go ahead and create a scene. And we did do some screenshots of the PDF. Now there's some things. Maybe we shouldn't do this part first. Let's go ahead and do it because we might see where an issue arises. That might be a good idea. So we're going to go ahead and create a scene after all. We'll call it, I don't remember what they were called. Hold on, let me find out what they were called real quick. So one of the scenes, Fantasy Grounds Unity, data, campaigns, what do we call this? What am I thinking? Fantasy Grounds Unity. I'm a dummy. This one is actually under here. Documents. Foundry VTT. This is the problem of trying to do too many at once. If we go to Worlds, I believe is where I put it. And then this is DDAL. Pretty sure this is the DDAL 5-16. Did I put anything in scenes? No. Assets? Yes. Alright, so under maps, we have one called, let's do Spine Ripper Den. So S-P-I-N-E, whoops, S-P-I-N-E-R-I-P-P-E-R, Den, like that. So we're going to create a new scene, and D4N, that's how you spell Den. Accessibility, navigation name, configure the background image. That's the one we actually want right here. So we're going to do this. We're going to go to images. Whoops. Actually, that's the wrong one. We need to go to worlds, DDAL. We need to go to assets, images. Nope, not images, maps, and Spine Ripper Den. So we're going to import this, and I don't think we care about any of this other stuff at the moment. We're going to care about this in just a second. I just want to make sure that it looks okay. So let's go ahead, save changes, say yes. We'll go ahead and do that. So now, whoops, generate thumbnail image. Where? Oh, there's the image. Oh, wow. It is way... So you can see we've got a default grid that is like monstrously huge. This image should be probably about this size, I believe is what it was. But you can see in here, you can actually see the individual squares, but you'll notice ours does not line up at all. So if we come in here, and I think the reason it has the, I was almost going to maximize my image size. The reason we see these giant ones is because we didn't actually change any of the information inside of here. So this is one thing I wanted to point out is this, to me, is actually pretty complex. It might have gotten easier over the versions. I haven't really played with it since the first time I have. But to me, it was really complex. So we can come into here. We can say the background scale image, grid size 100. Let's change it down to, say, 25 and see what that even does. Commit the changes. So that's looking a little bit better. Not a ton, but I didn't see what that red thing said either. But as you can see, I'm trying to look. This is kind of a bad image, I guess, because you really can't see those squares very good. Down here you can. So we'll kind of use these down here. So if we come down here and look, we can see we're still considerably large. Let's go ahead and change it maybe to 5. Commit. Grid size must be an integer 50. Oh, 50. And hit. Interesting. All right, so and this image isn't that small. How big is it? It's 580 by 621, so it's not huge either. Let's see if this will show kind of more of the actual size of it. Does this tell us what percent? No, this doesn't tell us when we're at 100. This is a bad thing. Let's see. So well, let's see if our first tool that I wanted to show actually is able to help us get this grid so it's the right size. And so the first tool I wanted to show is actually if you come under Manage Modules, then type Grid up here. You'll see there's one called Grid Scale Menu. We'll go ahead and load that. Hit save. It'll reload our table. And it gives us this little wrench at the very bottom called Grid Controls. Now, one nice thing about this is it allows you to set this up a lot easier because you can actually set up your grid by drawing the box. So we zoom in here, and I'm just wondering, whoops, I did that wrong. 50 pixels or greater. Maybe we actually have our image too small. So if we go here, is that 50? Yeah, so that's 50 right there. So our image must be too small. What to do? Maybe what we'll do is, let's see if, I think the other tool might be able to help us with that. I'm not 100% sure. But one of the hardest things that you can do with these things is trying to align the grid, because when it's in a different format, like a PDF or something like that, the grid gets kind of offset where this size isn't necessarily the size that's in the top corner. We're going to try this. I'm not 100% sure it's going to work, but we're going to try this, and maybe we'll end up having to have another series on this. But I do want to spotlight this. This is called MapAlign. It's a free tool, which is great. Just like the RF Tools token tool was a free one. This also is free. And what you can do with it is you can actually, you're setting up a grid, but you're actually changing the map behind it ever so slightly to fit the grid that you're setting up. So I'm going to go ahead and hit open. I don't know where this is going to open to. Actually, it doesn't. It looks like it's in Fantasy Ground, so that's not too bad because it's right. Here's Taz. Then documents. If I went too far, Foundry, data, worlds, DDL, assets, and images. So, I keep doing images, maps. So we have these ones that we pulled from the PDF. We're going to see if we can do anything with this. I'm not 100% sure, but if we mouse over, we can see that's 580 by 621. These are all going to be roughly about the same size because we just maximized the PDF the biggest we could and did a screen capture of it. So let's just see what we can actually do with this. So here's the actual map. And if we come down to the bottom corner, that's where we could actually see the grid a little bit. The other thing we could do, we could take this into Photoshop and actually change the levels to make it so these grid marks are actually darker. So that is another thing we could do to just make it so we could line it up. Oops, go over here. So let's maybe set up with this grid point right here. And you can see, there we go. And as we go, it's going to be kind of hard to see. Actually, it's not too bad. I mean, that's not even bad there. That actually lined up really well. But in the case that it doesn't line up really well, you can actually nudge it over 1 full pixel, a 1/6 of a pixel, an 1/8 of a pixel. So you can nudge the width. You can a positive 1/8, 1/6, or 1 pixel, or you can subtract it. So you can actually do that. And what you would do, I'm really surprised this one lined up as well as it did. But what you can do then is actually kind of scroll a little further away and then a little up, and then you'll see if they're still lining up here. If they aren't and you need to nudge it up a little bit, then you'd say maybe nudge 1/6, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm actually really pleased at how well this one lined up. Now our next question is can we save it where this is the equivalent? Because it says our pixel height and width is 17. Output scaling 400. I'm not exactly sure, but let's see what kind of options we have. Oh, the output pixel size. I think that is what we want. So if we come in here and change it to say 50, I think that is right. Let's check. So now if we hit save, it's going to want to change it. Yeah, so this did work. So this is changing it to 50 pixels, which gives us a 35 35 squares, I guess, high or wide, and 37 high. So, and those numbers are actually really helpful. So anyway, maybe I'll try another map at some point, but maybe I'll even find one that I know doesn't match up right. But as you can see here, it created a new file, and that is the one we're going to want, and I think that will actually work out really well. So I'm glad we did this. So let's go ahead and change our scene. Go back in here. Let's change it to the other one. Maps, and that one instead. And go to the bottom, and we'll hit save. And did it actually do anything? It doesn't look like it did anything to me. Let's just make sure it is the right one. Grid size is 50 square pixels horizontal. All right, well, it still looks like it's the same size. Let me see, mouse over that real quick. No, because this one's actually 1750. If this is the right one. You know what? Let's just do it this way. Let's close this. Let's delete this, and let's create the thing brand new. Let's say yes, just in case there's some kind of caching going on. So if we create a scene, we'll call this SPI, spine, RIPPER, den. Do that again. We'll go ahead and create a new scene. With that, we'll come down here and say file path. Looks like it's going the right place. We need to go to maps and this one. Upload. Is there anything about scaling here? It doesn't look like it. So, oh, I bet you it's because this scene dimensions. Those aren't the dimensions though. If I mouse over it, width is 1750, height is 1850. We might come play with that. Let's see what this does real quick. You're changing the underlying dimensions of the scene. If you've already placed the object in the scene, this operation may cause objects. I didn't touch anything, did I? Spine upper den. File path. Maps. Select. So is that always 4 and 3? Let's see if it does it real quick. Let's just say yes. This looks more promising. Our thing here is double the size, basically. So let's see what we can do. So if we come down here, you'll see we are lining up quite well with the horizontal and the vertical. Wrong button. Up here, it seems to be getting just a tiny bit off. Like right here, you can totally see it getting off a tiny bit. And that's not too big of a deal, especially in something, I mean, if you have a map that actually has fine lines on it that you can see, then having your grid map overlay it, you can definitely see big things here. But I actually don't see too bad here. So let's go look in here and see what we can do first this way. Oh, it did fix it. So that is good. So that's exactly why. Grid size. So as we look here, what the map align did is it gave us all the information we need. We know that it's 50 pixels is what we're setting it at. It'll end up being 35 wide, 37 high, right? So that's the value you stick in here is the 50. And we don't have any offsets right now because it seems to line up pretty good. Let's go ahead and save that and see how it looks. That actually looks really good. Now there will be cases where it doesn't line up completely, and this is a terrible case of that. And sometimes it's really hard to set it up with the built-in functionality of this thing because you have to click it and then you have to go look at it. But this little tool right here makes it really nice because you can just click on, you know, your spot, click on the grid, and there should be 50, and it will actually line everything up for you. If we do this again, that was a little off, so we'll get in here better. Did I not click the? Let's zoom in. So we go here, down to here. There's our 50. I think it wants it to be a little bit greater. Let's try this. Maybe if we made it just a little bit bigger than the 50. I am not sure why it's doing that. Maybe it's doing it right. I don't know. But when I've used this tool before, it actually then, based off of how you drag that grid, it will actually do it. And then you can click on these tools here, and you can move your grid to where you want it. So basically you would say, oh, I want the line right here, and it will say, okay, the offset was set to 21, which is right there. Or, you know, right here, and it will set it to -2 or whatever. But like I said, this grid actually came up really well. I'm really surprised. And then you do the same thing with this. You can change the type, whether it's squares. Um, isn't that what this one is, I thought? Or is it this one I'm thinking of? Configure the grid by, yeah, so drawing a hexagon, or we're drawing a square. Um, this is by drawing a 3x3 box. Oh, that's why it wasn't working. I was thinking I was in the other one with known XY. So with this, you want to get a 3x3 square. So we want 150, right? And there it shows grid scale is 50. I don't know if we're going to be able to see the offset stuff. Maybe if we go down to the bottom corner, we'll see it. Yes, actually you can't see it here. So as you can see here, our offset is now wrong. It's really hard to see though. So if we want, then all you have to do is click on this and click roughly where that line is right there, and you'll see it puts it there. And then same with vertical. If it's off like that, you just click on this right like there, and boom, there you go. So it's much easier than the other one. Configure with the known XY. This is if you know the actual number of squares on the map. So I'm imagining this is talking that this would be the X, which is the horizontal or the width. So we would say 35, and we know that the other one was 37. Let's see if this does it. Required filled grid not present in scene. I have no idea what that means. Anyway, hopefully you kind of get an idea. I know this was, once again, kind of a derpy episode because surprisingly enough, this map worked really well, and I'm genuinely surprised about that, because usually you'll pull one in that you pulled off the internet and some compression or something like that's happened and it causes it to be offset. But this actually came up quite well. So I think you should at least get the idea. I could have swore this used to be you only drew one square. Maybe I'm thinking Fantasy Grounds. But this, you want to do a 3x3. So that means you want to start in the corner and you want to grab 3x3 of the things. So if your thing is set at 50, then you would want it 150. I think that does it. Hopefully you guys kind of understood what was going on. I know we've gone through all these different settings before. If you have questions about it, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try and answer whatever I can. Or if I don't know it, I will go ahead and see if I can figure it out and then get you the information. But there you go. Really, this tool right here and Map Align make it really easy. And I think in the next episode, what we're going to do is work on the treasure part or the rewards part of our thing, because I'm curious. I want to check some things out, which means that depending on how quick I'm able to check it and have time to check it, there may or may not be an episode next week. But from what I've seen in Foundry, I think what I'm imagining right now in my mind is actually going to work the way I expect it to. So you'll find out what I'm thinking next week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It was a tiny bit derpy, but hey, we ended up, I don't know why we have this big border halfway around. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed either way. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And let's grow this channel. Let's make it as big as we can. Tell everyone you know about it. If they like what they see, you know, they can sub and we can just grow it. Big happy family is what I keep saying. And that's it. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.